to the Wednesday, April 20th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Before we get started, if you have any cell phones, electronic devices, if you could please silence them or turn them off, greatly appreciated. Also, if you're here to speak on any of the applications this evening, we ask that you go to the podium, state your name for the recording secretary who's missing tonight, but for the record. Also,
she'll see it.
If you're going to speak on a plan or anything else and move around, please take the microphone with you, as we're being recorded by FCTV. Okay, first up is minutes of March 2nd meeting. Anyone have a chance to read them? I just got mine today, so.
I'll get mine Friday.
Do you want to hang off till next week?
Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about that?
I didn't read mine.
Good, because I
let's
got
wait.
two
Yeah,
March 30th and no I March got 2nd, like so
Okay.
two copies of one.
I'll make a
missing
motion to
others.
table the minutes until next week.
Second. Thank you, Courtney. And a second by, motion by Courtney and a second by Mike. All those in favor of tabling the minutes till next week, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Okay, first up is Harry Wilcox, 9 Dairy Lane, West Falmouth, Mass. The permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspools and upgrade with a Title V sewage disposal system.
Mr.
Jen.
Chairman, are we tabling all minutes till next week? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry.
9 Dairy Lane.
Got it. We're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not
So
confirmed.
move.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Courtney and a second by Mary. Any comments or questions from the commission? Comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Next up is Ryan Austin and Alexandra Flournoy, 26 Charles Lane, West Falmouth, Mass. For permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspools and upgrade with a Title V sewage disposal system. Jen.
-2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area not confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
So moved. A second.
Okay, that's Lori on the motion and a second by Betsy. Comments or questions from the commission? Comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Scott Felosi, 67 Sherwood Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct 2 8-foot by 12-foot storage sheds with block footings and crushed stone underneath. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until May 11th.
May 11th?
May 11th is not a...
Yes,
wait
it
a
is, because the 13th is a Friday.
Okay, got it.
At the
Sorry.
request of the applicant, we'll continue this till May 11th.
Second.
It was on the wrong month.
Okay, a motion by Maureen, a second by Courtney. Any comments or questions from the commission? Comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Next up is U.S. Geological Service, care of Timothy McCobb, east end of Iroquois Street, map 46A-15-000-000B, west end of Reynolds Street, map 39A-22-00-554, east end of Reynolds Street, map 46-15-000-000B, west end of Palm Street, map 39A 18-000-00K, east end of Narragansett Street, map 46A-15-000-000B, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to install 2 to 3 small diameter 2-inch PVC monitoring wells at 5 locations using GeoPro direct push machine. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the
So
resource
moved.
area boundaries not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by Mike and a second by Maury.
Got a
Comments,
question?
questions from the commission?
Just a question as to what the purpose of the monitoring wells is. No.
Well, you showed up, Mike, so.
Yeah.
My name is Dennis LeBlanc. I'm with the U.S. Geological Survey, representing Tim McCobb, who works for me. The purpose of the request is to install monitoring wells as part of a study that the USGS is doing to look at the rate at which groundwater is cleaned up when one installs sewers. So the idea is to put in these monitoring wells in the neighborhood that is being stored right now. And that way we could get several rounds of groundwater monitoring done beforehand and then watch as the groundwater cleans up to see if we understand how that goes, both in terms of nitrogen, but also in terms of things like pharmaceuticals and so forth, helping to guide the overall effort like this on the Cape.
Sounds good.
Great.
What a novel idea to get baseline information.
That's right. It's a novel opportunity, anyway.
And that was nothing disparaging towards you. That's exactly how we would like to see a project like that.
That's why we proposed it in the first place, because
Right.
we thought it was a unique opportunity.
It is, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we
We'll
have a
keep you
motion.
posted.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank
We have
you.
a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Susan Choate Garland, 42 Chase Road, West Falmouth, Mass. Permission to install denitrifying septic system that includes a hoot tank, leaching trenches, and septic lines. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a negative trend of the state in the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Courtney, second by Mary. Comments, questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Next up is request for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetland Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. And first up is Mark Carroll, 115 Charles River Road, Walkway, Mass, for permission to reconstruct the existing single-family house, deck, tenant stairways, septic system connections, remove invasive plants, install utilities, mitigation plantings, native plantings, drainage features, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll save any of my comments until after Raul's presentation. Thank you, Raul.
May I ask him if he has cards?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have cards, Raul? Perfect, thank you.
Good evening, Raul.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Holmes & McGrath, representing the applicant. The project that we have before us is a tear down and reconstruction of an existing single-family dwelling. The property is along the shores of Charles River. The resources are land under the ocean, salt marsh, coastal bank, land subject to coastal storm flowage. The portion of the flood zone that hits the property, the structure is actually a portion of the deck, the majority of the deck actually. The main residence is actually outside of the flood zone. The proposal here is to completely remove the existing house, rebuild a new house. There's a couple of extensions that protrude beyond the limits of the existing house. There's a proposed bulkhead to the south, actually to the north of the house. The north on the plan is actually looking down. So this is the north. There's that bulkhead that protrudes beyond the existing house. And there's an entrance landing in this corner that it's also beyond the limits of the existing house. The entire property is within the Falmouth Buffer Zone A. So the increase in impervious surfaces and disturbances equals 33 square feet. The proposed mitigation that we are showing on the plans is 100 square feet, which is more than 3 times of the increase in impervious surfaces. It's located right here on top of the coastal bank. The coastal bank begins from the abutting property to the south, hits the deck, travels underneath the deck, comes out on this side, north side of the deck, and then continues on to the property to the north. The existing deck is going to be reconstructed in the same footprint, so there is no extensions in any location for the deck. The existing pier is not proposed to be reworked. There's a row of arborvitaes between the existing deck and an existing path to the water that's going to be removed and replaced with native shrubs. There's an area down here close to the first riprap. There's a two-tier riprap in this property. The area between the two ripraps, there's an area that's invasive plants is being proposed to be removed and replaced with mitigation plantings. There's an existing septic tank underneath the driveway. That tank is going to be abandoned, filled with sand. A new tank is going to be proposed in front of the existing house. The existing leaching field for the septic is proposed to remain. There's no change to the proposed driveway other than we are adding a trench grate at the lower elevation of the driveway, and we're directing it to a leaching trench. And there is a proposed dry well for the roof runoff. Currently, the existing house doesn't have roof runoff. It's just discharging to surface. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Jen?
Yeah. I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Jamie?
I have a couple of questions. Are you gonna lose that umbrella pine out front?
None of the trees out front are proposed to be removed.
There's one like right by that tank. That front.
The
Did you see that,
existing,
Maury?
the existing trees that are along the property line are 10 feet away from the proposed tank. So we don't expect it to be removed. We're not calling it to be removed. If it needs to be removed, we're open to the condition that should any tree shown on the plans be removed, to be replaced in kind or in the same location.
Well, if you have to remove that one, bring it to my home. Is the number of bedrooms changing?
No.
Existing dock work permitted?
The dock has a permit. The license number is on the plans.
Yeah, but that's
But
being,
that wasn't the question he asked.
yeah.
He said, is the existing dock work that's being done right now permitted?
I am not aware of current work on the dock.
The technical.
Yeah,
The deck's gone, and they're,
they
and
redid the
they
stringers.
look suspiciously
They
new
knew.
stringers.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're really
And new
nice.
stairs.
Yeah.
Pretty
Both sides,
snazzy.
one side,
Basically, they're
the other.
doing the work before they get it permitted.
Well,
I
he
was
just
not
said that
aware of the work on the pier. I don't have any record in front of me of a permit.
Could be worse, could have found a mowed buffer.
You only have one dry well. Do you think that's adequate for that?
We calculated the dry well. Usually we calculate them for a 25-year storm. In this particular case, this is more for a 10-year storm. There is not much room in the site with setbacks and so forth to add more dry wells on the property. So this one will probably be more for a 10-year storm than the typical 25-year storm.
Thank you. I'm good.
Mary?
Nothing else, thank you.
Betsy?
I don't have anything, except that clearly you're concerned about the stormwater. That's why you're making the improvements that you are.
Right, currently there's no stormwater mitigation on site. Everything just
Right,
slopes
right,
down.
right, that's why you're
grades.
putting in a grate and et cetera. Is what it is.
Mike?
There's a oak tree right next to the stairs going down. Flag it real nice. It's a redeeming feature of that.
Right, they do want to preserve that tree.
I'm
It's a
so
good
glad
specimen
you
out there.
did. I wish you luck. Yeah. I'm good.
Maureen?
Obviously, the lot coverage is not our issue, but are you going in front of zoning board?
This project has a special permit before the Board of Appeals for next month. I believe is the public hearing, so it is going to be before them. It exceeds lot coverage by structure and by impervious surfaces.
And the reason I ask that, it's proposed is 35.3 and it's allowed 20%, so it's, 15.3% more just for structure, and then it's 4.3% more for paving and parking. So I haven't seen that you tried to get rid of the sheds or any of the other features there, and I apologize, I wanted to do aerials on this property, because I'd like to know how much of this has been added over the years or whatever, because it looks like a lot's going on there. And the whole deck down to the seawall, I mean, I know you can't really put a dry well, but, maybe some of the deck could be, on the water side, could be cut back, the dry well put in, the pipes put in there. Because I agree with Mike, I think that's an awful lot of roof area that's going into one dry well. To get everything to pitch over that way. The mitigation planting for the 100 square foot is for the structure, and then the removal of invasive is just something you're doing and not counting that. Am I
Right.
correct? Okay, that's what I
There is
thought.
also a proposed tree within the area of invasives to be
I
removed.
saw that, the tupla. And my question is, why are you removing the arborvitae?
The owner wants to remove the arborvitae. I don't know if it's a preference that they don't want the arborvitae. Currently, it works
Well, they're a
as
native shrub. They're a native tree, and they're nice. So I don't know, I mean, I personally don't see why we're removing them. But that's just, but this lot doesn't have a whole lot of vegetation on it. So those 5 arborvitae being replanted with native vegetation, which is gonna be probably bayberry or
Well, it's
probably, I'm sure they'll probably be the little Carolina rose, because you haven't told us
Actually,
what
they
it's
called
gonna
out
be.
Carolina rose and bearberry, which is not gonna be acceptable.
Bearberry is just a ground cover, and Carolina rose is rather insignificant, so I'm
And they're
not gonna
established.
be in favor of removing those arborvitaes.
Those
You know,
arborvitaes are established.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
It's established
You
vegetation
either
in the
replace
A
them with
zone.
cedars, or you leave them, and then the invasives, there's gonna be no bearberry.
Why
But
would
how
we
close they are to
Why
the
would we remove native vegetation?
vegetation to replace
and-
it with
To
native?
replace it with native vegetation.
That's up to you guys.
Well, and the thing is to remove those arborvitaes, you've gotta rip the stumps out. So that means you're now within probably, I don't have my scale, it's right here, to the salt marsh and runoff. So, anyway, my vote will not be to remove the arborvitae. Thank you.
Kristen?
No further questions.
Woody?
I'll echo Maury and Mike on the dry wells. I just don't see how you can, that 1 2-foot dry well with 3 feet of stone is just not enough to take all that water. Do we know, I know this is all pre-existing, what
non-conforming.
evidence do you have that, things like that deck, all of that were permitted to begin with?
The building permit we have, the building information we have of the site is from the late 1950s,
Mid-1950s?
late 1950s. That's all the information I have at the moment.
And that
Do you have
deck
it
was,
with you?
And the deck was there?
It's written in the literature, in the project description.
the deck was permitted at that time?
It wouldn't have needed it, right?
I don't have the details of
Yeah,
what
we-
portions of the project were permitted when.
No,
You need a building permit for deck.
I mean,
We need a building permit.
Right, but not us.
Right.
I would want to, with this much, I want to see some evidence of when this deck was put on. If it predates 1979, that's fine, but I'd like to know that, particularly if we're going to let them reconstruct it. I mean, I don't,
That's what Laura was asking for.
Well, then the
Aerials.
applicant can always just supply the aerial photos to you. I mean, it's easy enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need a continuance
Sure.
to investigate that aspect of it.
Okay.
I think that's up for, I think it's incumbent on the applicant to bring us evidence.
That's fine.
Yeah, and perhaps Raoul would like to find out a little bit more about the dock. When you come back and maybe wrap all this up together.
I do have a specific answer. The house was constructed in 1958.
That's great, but Mr. Bird's not asking about the house. Mr. Bird is asking about the deck and whether or not the deck has been expanded over the years. Raul, you know what Courtney's asking for, so I would appease the board, request a continuance, do some aerial photographs of the site, and if the deck was there, you know, in 65, great, you're golden, except for telling your client to stop working on their dock without a permit. Other than that, I think you're all set, except you may want to look at the drywall issue.
I do want to answer a little bit about putting a drywall in the area of the deck. Underneath the deck is currently the coastal bank. It is sloping. We wouldn't put a drywall in that area.
Where?
Underneath the deck,
Those are the coastal advantage victims.
the deck is on sonotubes and 4x4s.
It can be in the brick
as
walk.
post.
Right there. In the brick walk, then.
In the brick walk is where we have a trench, a leaching trench for the drywall, for the driveway,
And where's that pipe to?
right
No,
there.
that's going this way. Right? It's going right across. According to your little arrow, it's just a trench drain.
There's a trench drain, and then there's a leaching trench. Because the trench drain, all it does is collects the water. It doesn't leach it into the ground. We need a leaching trench to let the water go into the ground. So we have the trench grate here and the leaching trench here.
Okay.
On the back of the property, it's not conducive
How
for,
about the front of the property?
we have, all this is septic.
Yeah, but below the septic.
Right where
We
the
need to
stone-
provide 10-foot separations to all septic tanks and 25-foot to all leaching septic components.
Okay.
So the front, it's
25 feet.
it's not conducive because of
Oh, 25?
Title V setbacks.
Oh, leaching.
There is one shed that's being removed. There's an existing shed where we're proposing the leaching trench. That's being removed. That's one of the offsets we have for the overall structures. That way, we don't increase the lot coverage from existing conditions. Because for the special permit, we can only apply for a special permit as long as we don't increase the current nonconformities. So there's an existing shed in this location that's being removed.
But it's not shown on your plan?
Well,
It
there's
is
a
called
note.
on the plan, existing shed to be removed, and there's a dashed
Oh,
line.
I got it.
Well, the bulkhead is actually adding to non-conformity, right? Because it's 9.2 and it's supposed to be 10 feet.
Right, the bulkhead doesn't apply to the setbacks.
Okay.
The setback that's non-conforming is this corner of the house. But that's zoning.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I can provide more information about the dry well for the 10-year storm, which is still an improvement to the site. But I don't think we have the space to collect a 25-year storm.
Now, I'm echoing somebody else here, but I'm trying to understand why you'd want to remove the arborvitaes when they're perfectly healthy.
That's a
Other than-
preference from the owner. I can come back when we continue the hearing
I mean,
and find out more information.
I understand if you had to do something because of construction, but I don't see that that's interfering with construction.
Over there.
The only construction nearby is the removal of the deck and reconstruction, but the deck, as I mentioned, it's supported on sonotubes, so there's no intended excavation there. So I'll have to come back with more information about the arborvitaes.
So any other questions you want to answer when he comes back?
Raul, would May 4th work for you? That way, could you get everything in by next Wednesday, or is that too tight of a time frame for you?
No, I believe we can get these
Yeah, I
answers.
mean, I think it's just aerials, kind of maybe looking at the plan, see if you can get them another dry well, and finding out about the dock and talking to the client about the arborvitae. Should be able to get all that in. So if you can get it in to me by next Wednesday, May 4th, is your date.
I request for a continuance.
At the request
Thank
of
you,
the
Raul.
applicant, I make a motion to continue this to May 4th.
Second.
Oop, we have a motion by Betsy and a second by Mike to continue to May 4th, correct?
I had one more question.
Oh,
How are you planning to remove the invasives?
Thank you, I was just about to ask that.
I'll have have to come back with a
Okay,
specific
good.
detail on
That'll
that.
be that detail.
And take,
Thank you.
take Bearberry off your list.
Yeah. In the Carolina Rose.
Yeah, keep that.
He keeps writing notes. We keep shooting stuff. You got that, you got everything, Raoul?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Any other questions on here? That's good. Questions or comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved.
Raoul,
Continue
put
to
it
May
in order.
4th. Okay, next up is Igor and Margarita Zenoskovsky, 235 Edgewater Drive West, East Falmouth, Mass, with permission to remove the existing deck, reconstruct in a larger footprint, to install native mitigation plantings and associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jim.
Thank you.
You waiting for me? I'm waiting for Mike, so.
Oh,
I don't
didn't
have, no, I don't have any
Okay.
comments until after Mike's presentation. I'm sorry.
I should have just gone.
Apparently I'm not paying attention.
Good evening, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Michael Borselli from Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. Igor and Margarita. The new,
Zhovnarovsky.
the applicant recently acquired this property from the former owner, Edwin Zolik. Some of you may remember Mr. Zolik. We were before you and got an order of conditions for the dock. There's a certificate of compliance, there's a Chapter 91 license for it. He also did some work under an RDA to upgrade his septic system to move it up here. And the new owners want to do some renovations and improvements to the house. There was a crack in the foundation. They needed to do some interior structural supporting in the basement. And they were hoping that they could get permission to make the deck bigger by extending this existing deck in that, as it exists here, over this additional amount to the corner of the house. And we looked at your regulations, and it's approvable under redevelopment because it doesn't move closer than the present primary structure to a wetland resource. It doesn't require any clearing of natural vegetation. It is in an A zone, and we're proposing mitigation for it. I guess I should start by saying the wetland resources in question include land under the ocean, coastal bank, land subject to tidal action. I think I just said coastal bank. I meant to say coastal beach here. And then coastal bank. And then there's some land subject to coastal storm flowage. We have a VE14 from here, Seawood. We have an AE13. And then we have a non-flood hazard zone beyond that. So the proposal is to expand this deck. It's 270 additional square feet. And in the notes, summary of impervious surfaces, we're providing, I'm sorry, the increase in impervious surface by the deck is 144 square feet. We're required to provide 432 square feet. We're doing it in two areas, 270 here and 162 here. And we're proposing it to be a mix of bayberry and beach plum. I'd also like to, at this time, offer one tree, because your regulations require one tree for any
So
mitigation.
you're not offering it?
I am offering
to
it
offer
as we
2
speak.
trees?
I'd prefer to offer one
That's-
tree.
There
And
are
the
a couple outstanding RDAs, so.
And the plan doesn't show that. I'm happy to add it to the plan and give you a revised copy. The foundation will be sonotube footings. It's up 1 story because it's a walkout structure. So it's elevated above the ground 7 or 8 feet. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to incorporate the 2 outstanding RDAs on this property. They both required some mitigation that is not depicted on the plan of reference and should be. We need to double check to make sure that mitigation was done. If not, it should be incorporated into a current order of conditions, because these conditions were agreed upon by Falmouth Engineering when these RDAs went forward, or they should have been notices. So I think that they do need to be incorporated into this notice of intent. So that might cover Betsy's tree issue. Other than that, I don't have any other questions other than Betsy's trees.
Is that Mike?
Yeah, I can look into that. It might have been under Mr. Zolik's RDAs.
They were, but, I mean, there are specific notes that, you know, these were discussed with you. You wanted to put get your client's septic system approved under an RDA. There were certain conditions that were agreed upon, and I'm sure you told your new clients about these conditions from Mr. Zolak's orders, so they should be aware of them. And that's something that I think Mark just made me aware of, so I have to go back out and double check.
Okay.
I could do it by next Wednesday. But other than that, as far as this project, Mike, I don't really have any questions. Although you may be incorporating
Sure.
some cedars that are not
Yeah.
depicted on this plan and probably should be, so I just want to make sure that they're there, or if not, they are incorporated into any current order of conditions.
Happy to do that. I'm happy to
I can meet you out there,
get a
Mike.
continuance
Yeah.
for that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thanks,
Courtney,
Mike.
any questions? Thanks, John.
Not a problem.
No questions.
Sorry for the delay.
Kristen?
Trying to get paper.
No, the new deck is in the V zone, is that the only
A little piece of it is.
piece of it is? Okay, that's all.
So that, I mean, that should be a finding of how many square feet are in
That little triangle piece?
that little triangle piece.
Mike, can you give me a calculation on the little triangle piece, please?
I think we're referring to this.
The little, yeah, that's exactly what I think they're referring to.
Yeah, it's in a Falmouth V zone, which I'm
Mike,
hoping,
Yeah, just.
I'm hoping
get-
at some point in time you're going to discuss.
Just get them the square
I'm
footage.
trying, Mike, I'm trying to get on the agenda, we've been so busy.
So we have made rulings that lean the way we're gonna go.
Yeah.
And this would still be here.
Yes.
So I'm happy to do that, and I also want to point out, it's pile supported with no enclosure, so it would meet your standards, and it's small, certainly less than 200 square feet, so, but I'm happy to give you the info.
Thanks, Mike, I appreciate it.
You all set, Kristen?
Yes.
You're all set,
Yes.
Kristen? Your number 6, I was happy to see that you're planting directly in the existing grass and no mulch. Thank you. I don't see a limit of work. Is there one?
I didn't show one, I
Okay.
didn't know that you needed one. I'm happy to put a silt fence on here, or wattles, it's
Wattles,
just...
probably just wattles, just to keep them where they should be. And if there's more plantings, then obviously more lawn will be gone, and that'll be nice. Whose garden?
I don't know.
Because it's not on their property.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I
I'm just
know.
curious.
I'd have to look into that. There's an existing set of stairs here. I don't really know.
It's in the Seacoast Shores Association.
Yeah.
Property layout. I just
Right.
curious more than anything. It's not really hurting anything. Okay, that was all.
Thanks, Maureen. Mike?
The downspout are disconnected as they are, and they're just discharging to the ground. As
Is
much
it?
as we're contemplating a deck, if we could tie that downspout down into a dry well, I think it would be an improvement.
Is it over here?
Yeah, because
Right-
that
right there.
downspout is
Yeah.
disconnected, it's free in space. If you tied that down to the ground or
Is it hooked to the gutter? I didn't see it, and then it just discharges on the ground?
yeah, the gutter, if the gutter's there, the downspout's not.
Oh, so it's just shooting
Hanging in
down
space,
from
yeah.
up above onto the
Yeah,
ground?
Good shower.
Got it.
Yeah. The other one is, I assume the footings for the whole deck will be replaced, not just that addition?
Yeah, they're gonna, I believe they're gonna tear off the old deck, rebuild that and expand it, yes.
And I consider that an improvement. The foundations for the existing really wouldn't be conducive to 3 feet of water. So I'm on your side, you've got an improvement going for the resources, so I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I knew Mike was gonna, I knew you were gonna do that, Mike.
I was hoping you were gonna tear that off, because that's some tough shit. Betsy? Thanks, Mike.
I don't have anything in addition.
Mary?
I expect, given the history of the property with the commission, that we know the vintage of the existing deck, and it predates our regulations.
I heard you speaking on the previous hearing about that.
Yeah, right, same question.
And I wondered, I didn't research it, so I'll have to find out.
Yeah, because
Well,
I mean,
what
it's.
a good idea.
Yeah. Please do.
This seems like it might be a new thing.
Well, I
mean,
mean,
I know what
this,
your regs
it's an
say.
obvious
I know what your
question
regs
in
say.
this one because
Yes.
that's what's in the A zone.
Yes,
so-
absolutely, yep. I will look into it.
Okay, thank you, that's all for me.
Jamie?
No questions.
So it sounds like a continuous, Jen. What are you looking for dates?
For 1 second, can you come here for a minute? I just noticed this. Nothing on there, except that continuance that we just did. Okay, I can call them tomorrow. Or we can talk about other stuff like that. Sounds probably good.
So when
Get rid of that?
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Did you do the 11th?
yeah.
What's the 11th, Mike? May 11th? The only reason I'm telling him not trying, but I'm gonna call Holmes and McGrath tomorrow. I just realized we have absolutely nothing on our schedule May 4th, except Raoul's RDA, continuance that we just
Well, we can put this on May 4th, I never,
I know. Do you really want them to come in for 2 continued?
May
So
11th?
would May 11th be okay, Mike?
That's fine.
Okay.
At the request of the applicant, I make a motion to continue this to May 11th?
Correct.
May 11th.
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion by Betsy and a second by Mary. Any other comments or questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote to continue to May 11th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, next up is Robert Hudson, 460 Grand Ave, Falmouth, Mass, with permission to construct an outdoor living area, including a patio, hot tub, fire table, retaining walls, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, I'll save any of my comments until after Mike's presentation.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, my name is Michael Borselli, and I represent the applicant. I'm joined tonight by Luke Murray from Foresight Design, the landscape architect who did the design work. What I'd like to do is just briefly go over the property and describe it to you, and then turn it over to Luke to go through the specifics of his design. So the property is at 460 Grand Avenue. It's right near that bike rental area on Grand Ave, and it also has frontage on Deacons Ave on Falmouth Harbor. McDougal's is just north of us. Deacons Ave loops around and connects back up over here. So we're across Deacons Avenue from Falmouth in a harbor, close to the upper reaches. There's a little beach at the toe of a small stone, I don't know that I'd call it a revetment, some erosion protection. There's a very low-profile coastal bank, some grass area owned by the town of Falmouth, and then the paved road, Deacons Avenue. So we're across the street. We have land under the ocean, land subject to tidal action, and the coastal bank. The whole lot is in an AE 13. And there's an existing house that received a certificate of compliance under a previous owner a few years ago. And the new owner wants to do some additional improvements between the house and Deacons Avenue. And they retained Luke Murray to do that design. Luke and I met with Jen, I think, on 2 occasions to go through this and work out some details. And I think we refined the plan to a point where Jen was satisfied with it. It proposes a patio and an outside spa or hot tub area and some low-profile landscape walls, and then a new access from the house down to that area. And then this green area is all proposed mitigation planting in an area that's currently lawn. There's also some existing landscaping from the house construction. The driveway and access to the house is from Grand Avenue. So that generally sums up the project. It's a redevelopment project, and we went through the specifics on the impervious calcs. The work's in an outer buffer zone B to a coastal bank. The no disturbance zone A to the bank is actually not even on the property. So with that, I'll turn it over to Luke, and we're both here for questions.
Good evening. Is that? Yeah. It's very low.
It goes to the TV.
Oh, okay. My name is Lucas Murray. I'm a landscape architect. As Mike said, I've been working on the project now as in charge of the design. He went over the general site. I like pictures, so this tells you a little bit about scale of the site. It's kind of it is a postage stamp site. Deacons Avenue, which runs through. You can see the marina here. The dotted line here is our project area. The deceiving thing about the property is it actually doesn't go to the road. The right-of-way actually backs up into the grass area here, so it pretty much ends at the fence corner here, and the existing wall, which we are keeping on the backside of the property. Right now, the plantings that are there, you have some Kwanzaa cherry, there's some knockout rose, there's a spirea there, some Syringa vulgaris, there's arborvitaes, which we are intending to keep along the property border, but we are intending to remove most of the other plant materials and then mitigate for the actions that we are doing. It would also be impacted some Alberta spruce. I don't know, think that's a high-value plant probably in your eyes. And we are intending to keep some of the arborvitaes along the side of the house. So you can see the project area here on the footprint. So we are tearing down an existing deck structure and expanding. It is going to be, the existing deck is here. We're expanding it to a patio with some retaining walls. As part of our mitigation is all of this area and this area, which includes 2 trees. We have a pathway, which I did not calc in as part of the mitigation, but it just allows the owner access in a maintained area to the roadway. We're proposing just a tri-blend mix of seed, very low maintenance. The owner is fine with low maintenance. That works for him. So the whole bottom level is really planted to the property line. And we were fine with going beyond that, but per plan, we just kept it off the right-of-way because we know that's not part of our maintenance area, and we didn't want to impact the town. So for right now, we've gone to the property border. This wasn't part of the mitigation. Also, this wasn't calced as part of the mitigation. This is a tiered wall that comes up. It's a split retaining wall to kind of lower the scale of the wall. So you'll notice on the plan there's some drift rose, some nepeta, some catmint, and some petacinum grass. That's lower for that scale of wall, which is kind of tough to find anything on the list that would suit that scale. But other than that, we're using bayberry. A lot of the things that are on your recommended list, summer sweet. The one thing that is off the list, but we did talk to Jen about, is dogwood, which is a native. It is a smaller tree, I understand, but it is a nice tree. So straight Cornus Florida. We have had a request from the neighbor after meeting with them since we've submitted to ask if we could change this tree to a Salix discolor instead. So that would be something that tonight we might throw out there if that was amenable. That was really the only other feedback we received from the neighbor is asking if we could pull this tree back slightly. I think that's.
Oh, I know
I think that's it. Yep.
Okay.
Questions?
No, they did a nice job with the planting plan. Thank you, Luke. I did not get a chance to respond to your email before I saw it actually come into the office.
okay.
So,
No problem.
I did say that I was okay with the dogwoods, just given the area with Deacon's Road in between the property and the Inner Harbor. I just felt it was a more appropriate tree given the area. I really didn't think putting a huge white pine or an oak in that area would be necessary. So your staff did agree to allowing the dogwood. You can agree with our recommendation or not, but we didn't think it was going to be that much of a problem. Other than that, they worked with us. They reduced the scale, I think, from the original plan a little bit that I saw to accommodate the need of mitigation. So I'm fine with it, and if they want to switch the tree out to Salix, it's fine.
The proposed patio is at what elevation?
So we're meeting the existing deck elevation, which is approximately 5 feet off the ground now. So it'd be a walkout onto the patio like it exists now for the deck. So probably an easy view is, it's matching the deck height here, if that's easier to kind of
Okay,
visualize.
so ground surface is about elevation 8?
Correct. And we're looking at about,
And flood
12.
elevation is at
I
elevation?
believe it's 12.4. I just redid the grading plan, because when we redid the plan to scale it all back, I redid the grading plan. I believe it's 12.4 at the door, we're at 8 on the ground surface.
You have a spot elevation of 8.9 near your new retaining enclosure wall?
Yeah, we did some, so there was some berming that happened
Yeah.
to lower the scale of the walls, because we're trying to get that scale down. It actually helps
Yeah.
that we have some larger plantings along the wall
Yeah.
to also scale down the wall. So the viburnums are a great plant. Those help scale it down, because we're talking 6-foot
we've been
shrubs, and we're
paying
fine
them.
with letting them go. That also helps us. If we actually depressed this to grade, it would just basically shield us, like all the views, everything would just be buried in plantings. But that elevation actually gives that opportunity.
So convince me that that added area isn't going to add to flooding during that 100-year event. I'm worried about the house next door. The condo or whatever that thing is.
So, we're in an A zone, which is considered still water flooding. That means if we do get flooding during a storm event like a hurricane, there's no wave energy with it. It just rises and flows, and there'll be no high energy. That's the difference. So, we're basically adding some fill to an A zone. So, there's no deflection associated with A zones. That's been described in previous projects. The volume of fill is
I'm not-
negligible for
I'm
displacement.
not worried about, it's the ocean, what is there? You've got about 10 feet between you and the adjacent building when the tide is going out. This whole thing is on to elevation 13. Are we relatively confident that we're not adding velocity when this thing recedes to the house next door?
Fully confident, fully confident.
Okay.
The water just will recede
All right, I'm
as the
fine.
tide recedes.
I'm not worried about compensatory starts. It's
Okay.
the ocean.
Thank you.
We're not gonna flood anything. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about that little trough we got between the buildings, and we're not gonna do something that would damage our,
Right.
Fade up.
The water will rise, still water flooding, and then it'll recede. It'll just go, it'll seek its level around every structure.
that's your testimony, I'm fine.
Thanks,
That's why I brought the engineer.
Maureen.
I'm not going there. So the top of wall, the highest elevation for your, one of the top wall?
So the way the wall is set, okay, so there's the elevation of the patio, there's actually, the wall is higher than, I don't want to miscommunicate here. The wall is higher than the height of the patio. The patio comes out here, but the wall actually extends up because we're doing a kitchen counter. So to kind of hide the counter, instead of doing railings, which we need railings at that height
At height.
anyway, we're extending the wall up.
Okay, so what is, just tell me what the top of the wall is.
So the top wall, I believe, is 16.6. I can get back to you on the final elevation on that. That's going off the top of my head. But it's quite high.
Elevation 16, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant 16 inches 6.
Yeah, it's almost an 8-foot wall, is basically what it is.
And it's engineered.
It is an engineered wall. It's a concrete cord wall, rebar, the whole thing. It's going to be faced in stone, like a veneer, natural stone.
Right.
With a bluestone cap.
Unfortunately, it's going to be well landscaped to not look at it.
Correct. I mean, it'll be a nice wall, but no, it will definitely, the plants will help scale it down. The good thing is also, from my aspect is, in all honesty, if it was affecting the views, it might be more of a tendency to like keep those trimmed at a lower height. In this scenario, it's actually going to be a benefit for us to keep everything natural and growing,
Right, okay. Just an 8-foot concrete wall is
which from my
quite,
perspective is a
quite
better
ominous.
option.
My daughter just poured one in her yard and it was quite substantial.
Yeah, these are substantial. These are full footing walls.
Yeah.
Gives the
It's
build,
like
we
a
are
big
going to,
foundation.
we'll submit to the building department on the walls just from a structural standpoint.
All right, the next question is, I know you pointed to your arborvitaes to the west. What's going to happen to the arborvitaes by the hot tub?
We're planning on keeping them.
Okay,
Well, keeping what we can on the ag side. I actually was looking to flip them further down,
that's what I was wondering, I saw the little
or actually
dots there.
transplant them, because we can slide those back
Okay.
to buffer the views to the neighbor and reuse those.
Okay, as
So,
long as they're,
as far as the other plant material, you're welcome to come by and load up a truck, but I don't think we have a lot of room for the rest after we get done with the mitigation here. So, and really, a lot of this is not native species, obviously, so.
And then the very last question is on the, where did I look at it? That was, you're using a ground cover?
Yeah, the dead nettle.
The dead nettle?
And again, I'm open to that. I was trying to get like something a little more interesting than just grassing it out.
You're not worried about that being a little bit invasive?
It's not known to be invasive, dead nettle. I mean, it can spread, but it's not necessarily known to be like a euonymus where it'll grow over things.
Okay.
So I believe it can be maintained, no problem. I have it, and I've had pretty good experience with it.
I'm
but-
sure they'll keep it manicured so it doesn't jump. But
Yeah, I
it-
mean,
it's
the
actually
homeowner
on
is
the
obviously-
Massachusetts invasive, so.
Yeah. What's that?
Massachusetts, it does have it, the United States Department of Agriculture does list it
As
as.
an invasive, yeah, I mean, it does spread, so but it doesn't tend to spread up. So
Okay.
in our case, I looked at it as a win that it does spread because we want tight ground cover,
Well, I don't
like a
want
grass.
I don't-
It's on the Massachusetts.
Yeah, because
invasive.
that's like, I mean, epimedium and agapodium all move, they're beautiful ground covers, but they're very invasive too, so.
Right, yeah, and I'm open to,
Maybe bearberry?
I think bayberry?
Bearberry.
Oh, bearberry, yeah. Yeah, bearberry's fine, it's a little less spreading habit, but we could do more of it
Okay.
to cover. I just want to make sure we have a tight ground cover, because the idea here is mulch for a couple of years and then get
Right.
away from mulch.
Right.
So, the other option is to just do grass and plant
Bearberry.
grass, but it gets a little ratty sometimes. So I want a little bit more manicured look, so, but I'm fine with bearberry.
Bearberry, wintergreen, something like that, maybe?
Like a wintergreen euonymus?
No.
Because, yeah, I wouldn't go there, but, yeah, I think a
Bog
bear,
rosemary,
Yeah,
I don't know.
something like that.
I don't know, I know what you're trying to achieve, it's just.
yeah. If you don't like the dead nettle, we're open to it. If bearberry, I like
I'm not gonna die on
bearberry.
that hill, but
So we'll just put it in, we'll switch it out to Bearberry
Yeah, we'll just switch
for
it
you.
out.
Okay.
you do have a
And-
paved road that you'd have to jump over to get to the wetland resources, so that's one good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Kristen? Courtney?
Oh, I misread it. I looked at this thing and I'm a little dyslexic, and I said a firewater table feature. I thought it said an open
Oh, yeah.
bar. No, what is that anyway?
It's a gas fire pit. So, right here, it's a little elaborate, but it's gonna be a curved fire table, and then it's got a little water feature in front of it that kind of falls down. And that's actually how I'm evacuating the water, or actually infiltrating some of the water through, it's gonna be a fountain that recirculates, but the excess water is gonna be stored in, and some of it's gonna be infiltrated. So, it's kind of like, I don't know if anyone's seen the aquascape systems for under patios, that's what it's going to be.
So you can use the water to put the fire out at the end of the.
Correct, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Hopefully
No other
not, because it's a
questions.
gas fire pit.
Betsy?
This is gonna look nice when it's done. And it's gonna provide, a little bit of green in that area. I just wanna make one point, and it has nothing to do with your project per se, but in this case, when they're moving the arborvitaes, then they are gonna keep them. It's in the B
Yeah, that's what I said, there's a
zone
visa.
as opposed to the A
A
zone.
zone.
Yeah,
Okay, well, it has nothing to
Oh,
do,
yeah.
you don't have to worry.
We're happy.
They just like to.
What's it?
Yes, thanks.
Mary?
No questions, thanks.
Jamie?
No questions.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
We don't all.
Second, and take it under advisement.
Take your advantage.
Second by Betsy, close the hearing, take it under revise. All right, any other comments, questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? You want to say something, Neil? Come on, just give your name for the record, okay? Come on to the podium, thank you.
I guess so.
Hi, Paula Lichter. I'm a neighbor in the condos on the north side. Mr. Murray mentioned the discolor the pussy willow.
Correct.
But no one said anything about it. I was just wondering if that could be a possibility, to switch out one of the dogwoods for the, what is it called? Concord?
It's a pussy willow, it's a
Which is on
salix
your,
discolor.
which is on your allowed list.
I think she said she'd agree with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
We
know.
said we'd agree.
I didn't hear it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Swap them on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none to close the hearing. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
I like visuals too. I'm just-
Yeah, those are-
I'm just gonna put that out.
Those were very helpful.
Yeah, it does. Look down with the checkered line and all that. Okay, a request for a hearing under a certificate of compliance. Delcor Realty Trust care of Joanne DeLapa, 418 Minot Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Request to obtain compliance to construct and maintain a single-family house and to build and maintain a dock ramp flow under DEP 25 486. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is attempting to obtain a certificate of compliance. If you know, this is the dock that, if you're heading over the Minot Bridge, it's the one that's completely mangled. If you're heading towards Minot Beach, it's north
Heading
of
over
the
the
bridge,
Green
over the
Pond
Green Pond
Bridge.
Bridge.
Yeah.
We did meet out there with the applicant's representative. We instructed him, as we have instructed the applicant since January, that we'd like to see a notice of intent filed to repair the structure, because there are some compliance issues with it, and that at that time, they could come back for a certificate of compliance. So they did request a continuance until July 20th, and we were assured that they would be filing a notice of intent within a few weeks.
All right, at the request of the applicant, we'll continue this to July what?
20th.
20th.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Maury and a second by Courtney to continue till July 20th. Any other comments or questions?
I have a question from Jen.
Sure.
Do I have a file?
For them, no, I have it over here.
Okay.
Here. I'm just gonna put it over to you, but,
I mean, you just want me to put down who the quorum is?
yeah, here, I'll give you this.
Well, if we didn't open it.
A notice of intent, but here's the,
Well, just to note that we.
yeah, to note that. Here, Betsy, you can put it together with this. You can keep going. I can walk and talk at the same time, Russell.
Not
You don't
me.
have to talk, he's gonna call for a
Oh,
vote.
okay.
Okay, no other comments or questions? Comments, questions? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. So we'll move on to request to extend the existing order of conditions. Michael and Linda Conley, Lot 2, Gunning Point Ave, Falmouth, Mass. Request to extend for an extension until May 4th, 2018. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have had a request to extend the permit for one additional year. They have not started construction yet. BSS Design said if you wanted to request Mr. Conley's need for an extension, he will be able to answer questions at a public hearing in late April, early May. If you want to extend it, the order extends May 14th, or just grant a one-year extension.
Well, it says 2 years though, 18.
Is it two?
May 18th, oh yeah, 2-year extension. I would grant a 1-year. That's what I would recommend.
I got your block. Hang on a sec. Go ahead, Courtney.
Generally speaking, I thought we took the position on extensions that if they hadn't started the work, that
Right.
If they hadn't started the work and your regulations had changed, I know this board has made decisions in the past to not allow an order of conditions that had expired where the regulations had changed.
okay.
In that case,
Yeah, in this case, they haven't.
in other cases, you have granted an extension for work that hadn't started.
Was it multiple times, Jen? Wasn't there one that came up? And it was like the
You
third or
recently
fourth time
granted
they
an
came in, or-
extension for a project that, in staff's opinion, should not have been granted an extension, so. But I mean, usually we'll recommend no if your regulations has changed in a significant
The FEMA
way
regs haven't
where
changed,
it
yeah.
would affect the property or the mitigation calculation. In this case, it doesn't. So we would say, I would recommend a 1-year extension
Right.
at this point.
At the request of the applicant, I'd recommend a 1-year extension.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Okay, so we have a motion and a second by Jamie. Motion by Maury, second by Jamie. Questions or comments from the commission? Questions or comments from the public? Bob?
It does appear that the board's prepared to issue a one-year extension. I just wanted to explain that that's all that is being requested. The order of conditions expires in the spring of 2017, a year from now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong.
They're asking for an extension now so that they don't, so that they know they don't need to begin work quickly. Their circumstances are such that they don't want to do that, and we're only asking for a one-year extension so that we now will have 2 years.
Sorry, Bob. It kind of threw me
And your
considering it's
policy
the
is
16th.
to only issue one-year extensions, I believe, under your regulations.
Yes.
And that's all we're asking for. Thank you.
Fair enough. Okay.
Okay, so
Anything else?
we're
That's just really
essentially,
odd. We usually don't ever get, there's another whole year left on this permit?
Yes.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion for the 1 year then, because I would like to see them wait till it's time.
No, this is exactly what we should be doing. If we need more time, if we don't want to begin now, we have to complete the work within the 3 years. That's what the regulations require. Yes, that's exactly what the,
Right,
we
but
have to
we've never
complete
not
the work.
Allowed an extension after.
But if
You're
somebody.
suggesting we should wait?
No, if somebody starts the work within, if they start within 3 years and you ask for an extension, we give you an extension. We don't give you an extension if you've had
keep
3
starting.
years and you haven't started anything.
We aren't assured of an extension. We want to know that we can begin the work in the spring of next year and finish it over the following year, so it's done end of 2017, spring of 2018. There's no reason not to allow this. Why would you want to, make somebody build sooner than they?
Because they were issued a permit for 3 years.
2 years ago. They
They've
already
had
had
some issues. I don't really want to go into it. A few minutes ago, I think you were prepared to vote this one-year extension. That's all we're asking for. Otherwise, we have to begin to protect themselves. They have to begin now. What harm whatsoever is there to granting?
What harm is there to wait a year?
Because they only have a permit that's good until the spring of 2017. If they don't begin now, they wouldn't be able to finish within that time.
but
They
if
can
they
ask
be-
for an extension in
One at a time,
January of
please.
2017.
That is correct. You have issued extensions for work that is still going on.
You can do that, but you put the person at great risk. And how
Bob,
do we know?
do not blame this board because your client has chosen not to begin work on a permit that they were issued 2 years ago. Please, don't blame this board.
I'm not blaming the board. I'm
You're
suggesting
telling
no
this board
reason.
that they're putting your client at great risk, and I find that just
No,
not
I'm saying that
acceptable.
there would be a risk of the client not proceeding with the work.
That's the client's choice.
Well,
All right,
we're
Mike.
basically asking for some accommodation on that.
I personally appreciate an applicant as being proactive. He knows he isn't going to be able to get the project done in a period of time. He'd have to come before us at some point. And acting before it's a problem rather than after a problem is a little refreshing, and I personally would have no problem with it.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion for the 1 year, for that.
I'll
And the
withdraw
only
myself.
reason is that I think it is being a little proactive, maybe that's a nice way to put it, but I also think that it's if we did that, then these 3-year permits, everybody would be going for this is a 5-year permit now.
No,
No, 4 years.
4-year,
4-year.
I'm sorry, 4-year permit. So,
regulations haven't changed. The circumstances for these people is that they haven't been able to begin. I mean, they've got things going on, and they just want to be able to plan their project for the next couple of years to have it completed. I just don't see the problem. I agree completely with Mr. Powers on this. We thought we were doing exactly what people should be doing instead of coming and putting the commission in a position of, well, we need to have an extension because we are just starting to work.
Courtney, go ahead.
These people have a building permit in hand at this point?
No, I'm sure that they do not have.
I'm sorry?
I'm sure that they do not have a building permit in hand.
They do not have a building permit at this point.
So they haven't started.
Right, they haven't started the work. They had a building.
I'll echo the sentiment that I'm hearing on this commission, that I don't, this is not the appropriate time to do an extension. We routinely grant extensions for projects that are in the works, under construction, and aren't going to get finished within the time frame of the thing. And we're talking about a year out, and, you know, if you come in next February and say we need an extension, you know, that's the time for us to look at it.
If we came in February and you turned it down, we'd be in an impossible position.
I'm going to agree with Mike. I think it would be reasonable to give him one more year. I don't see where that's a big deal. But we're under the condition that, you know, that's it, you know, unless some
No, we understand that. We're only.
force of nature creates a problem, then I can understand it, but Betsy.
Here's the problem I have with that. They have a 3-year permit. What month are we? April. What month is it?
That would be
May.
in May, but
Early May.
1 year out.
If they haven't started the project, they have 10 months, 11 months, 12 months from now to start the project. If they haven't started it by then,
No, we don't have 12 months to finish the project.
I did not say to start the project.
We don't have 12 months to
If you
start. We have
start-
12 months to finish the
No,
project.
you do not.
No.
You
This
do
board
not.
routine,
My Snickers.
One at a time, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Let's
Don't I
not
have
make
the
this a
floor?
battle. You have the floor, Betsy, but I don't want.
A project does not have to be finished within the 3 years of the permit. If a project is started, whether it started day one of the permit, or you get a building permit 2 years and 11 months later, if you've started the project, we routinely grant an extension.
Yes, you routinely grant an extension. That isn't a guarantee that an extension will be granted.
Well, there's no guarantee you're going to get one today.
Well, apparently not. But what we're trying to do is we have a year to finish a project. To finish it within the required time, we would need to begin now. We don't want to begin now. We want to begin towards the end of that 3-year period. That's all we're saying. And you're saying you would routinely grant it. Then let us know now so that we can plan
We're letting you
accordingly.
know.
Are
You come in
You
12
let
months
us
from
know
now.
You let us know by voting, yes.
Oh,
Where do we stand procedurally? You withdrew?
I withdrew my motion, but nobody withdrew their second.
I make a motion.
I did make a motion.
okay, Mike's
So
going
you
to make another
withdrew.
motion.
I withdrew, but nobody seconded my withdrawal.
I'll do
Sell
that
the
myself.
property.
Okay.
I have no idea.
So now we're clear on the floor,
We
right?
were clear on the floor. No, we had to vote that,
No.
my withdrawal.
We do?
no.
You
She withdraws her
withdraw?
motion, you
We
withdraw
didn't-
your
We did
second.
nothing, we
Okay,
didn't
we did
vote on
nothing.
it.
So Mike wants to make one.
I make a motion to extend the memoriam for the 1 year requested.
Until May 4th, 2018, correct, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
For the purpose of getting a vote on the table, I'll second it.
Thank you, Betsy.
I'd like to make,
Any other discussion?
I would just make the point that I don't really see a lot of harm in granting this extension, but on the other hand, I really don't see that there's any risk unless your clients are very, very uncertain about whether they want to go forward.
If the regulations change, there would be.
Pardon?
If the regulations change, there would be. Right now, they haven't changed.
But if they would be operating under the regulations that are in effect in the order that they have. If we extend the order, we're not going to be putting any new regulations onto that.
Right, if you extend the order, that's correct.
I mean, if we extend it tonight or if we extend it a year from now, either way, they wouldn't be subject to regulations that weren't in force when the order was issued.
But you're bringing up a good point. If we extend it and for some reason do change a regulation, then we're extending it into a part
That's
where
correct.
if they hadn't begun within 14 months, then they would have to come in again.
Right.
Can I
So-
ask what the ideal time
that's
to
the
come
risk
back
he's-
is? Is it 6 months before it expires? So that if you turned it down, we could get going and be in a position where the building would be half done? That has happened before. I had a case where somebody applied for an extension about 3 months before. This was John Moore in North Falmouth. His request was denied for an extension. So he put in the foundation, cleared the property. At that point, the project's, the site work's pretty much done. A week before it would have expired, at that point, actually, I think the application was filed and within the requisite time, and after the time period had actually expired, then the commission voted to grant the extension, only because he had then done that work. We're trying to avoid a situation like that.
Mike, did you have something?
For the most part, this commission relies upon the goodwill of the citizens of Falmouth to see that our regulations are met. We can't, we don't have neither the resources nor will to go around and look at every piece of property that is being developed or altered near our resource. We have an applicant before us acting in good faith, in a proactive manner, and I applaud it.
Okay.
I'll make one more comment. I think
I'll
it's a
make one
bad
more
precedent. I think it's a bad precedent to set.
Just to give the board a little background on information, you had to make specific findings on this one because it didn't meet the coastal bank setback. But you did make specific findings regarding the coastal bank setback. I think that is what the fear is here, is that you made a specific finding on a specific case.
We have a vote on the thing.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table, so if there's no other comments or questions, Jamie?
Exactly what is the motion?
To give them
allow
it.
give them the
Thank
extended
you.
2-year.
Anything else? Okay, anything else? All set? Okay, I want to call for the vote.
Would you,
Raise
excuse
hands,
me?
please, so.
Can you just, because we've had so much, would you restate the motion, just?
The motion is to approve the 1-year extension. And we'll do it by hand vote.
Isn't it 2?
It's
It's 1 year, but it doesn't
extension
expire
on the
until a
end.
year from now, so
So
we've
it's
been seeing
actually-
a lot of these
okay.
lately.
Okay. So 2018 it.
Correct.
Okay, we'll do it by hand vote, please. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. 4. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1,
No, 4.
4.
Four.
I'm sorry.
Doesn't pass.
4. Motion does not carry, so extension is not granted. Okay, next up is Molly Cornell. Did you get that with a draw? Molly Cornell, 37 Shopwood Bars Road, West Falmouth, Mass, and requesting for a 3-year extension.
That's only because it is the Phragmites Control Project, and you routinely do grant longer extensions for Phragmites Control projects.
Although the regulations may change.
They may. Yeah, they may change.
Is this in progress?
Yes.
Where in the cycle of things are we at this point? I'm
They're
sorry.
it's in progress. They're
It's in
there.
controlling the Phragmites.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, have they had it for 3 whole years? What's-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They want to continue to be able to control it.
And I think this is in the area of, by the Nashwina.
Yeah.
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 All right, any other comments or questions? We have a motion. Somebody want to put a motion forward?
I move that we approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Betsy to approve, and a second by Mike. Any other comments or questions? Any other comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. 7-3, okay. Enforcement issue, Falmouth Heights Marina Inc., 0 Gerard Ave, map 47C-08-001A-002, Falmouth, Mass., for removing, filling, degrading, and altering wetland resource area in a buffer to a resource area defined by FWR 10.00 and 310 CMR 10.00. Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it has come to our attention that a coastal dune on Gerard Ave has been altered. The property is owned by, I'm going to, Falmouth Heights Marine, and I'm going to botch the name, Mr. Joffroy, again, of
Courtney knows how to pronounce it.
63 Gerard Ave. Basically, you have 63 Gerard Ave, you have the Campion property that had been altered during the other enforcement order between,
On 4th of July.
yes, and, well, it was June, end of June. And then the Falmouth Heights Marines, Mr. Joffroy owns another strip of land in between the Campion property and I believe it's the McGoughlin's property. It's there. That coastal dune area and buffer to a coastal dune has been altered, turned into a road with a gravel base, fencing, and security cameras. So, and the staff has not been out there. So, but these pictures have been provided to us as a number of phone calls to the office alerting us that this has happened. We scheduled the enforcement order. Mr. Ament, Attorney Ament, came to the office the other day. I requested that he speak to his client and allow us to access the property so we, the staff, could fully determine what happened out there so that we could accurately come back to you and report to you before requesting or recommending that you issue any sort of enforcement action, because we really don't know the extent of what's going on out there. So, Attorney Ament did secure that permission. I'll be contacting the applicant's representatives to meet me out there at some point, probably towards the end of the week or early next week, so that I can report back to you either on the 27th or May 11th to recommend a course of action, and I will have more concrete information for you at that time.
So we don't do anything tonight?
You don't
No
have to do
action.
anything tonight. It's
Just
just
for
on the agenda.
information.
Excuse
Just for
me?
information purposes.
It's for information purposes. It was to schedule the hearing and get this moving so that we could open up some sort of dialogue with the property owner so that we could gain access to the property.
So we do have permission to gain access?
As of right now,
You cleared it all?
correct, I do.
Okay.
And the good news is that the little dune that was placed on the property on the other enforcement order is still there.
Replaced.
So, yeah, replaced, so that's positive. It's a positive thing. So I'll be, as I said, contacting Attorney Emmett and I believe Holmes and McGrath to conduct a site visit. You and I spoke about this, Mr. Chairman, you can accompany me as well.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, so we don't need to
So
take any
it's just
action on
that,
this.
and I would say continue this till I'm gonna say, Bob, would May 11th be too far out for you, since we don't have anything scheduled for May 4th, and then that way we'll compile everything probably early next week?
That'd be fine.
Is that okay?
That's fine, as you know, we're moving rapidly towards a plan to.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and, you know, Holmes and McGrath, I believe, has already, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, has already gone out there to start the survey work. So, but just given that little hole in our schedule, I don't think I'd be able to go out there and compile a report for you by next Wednesday, just given what we're doing in the office right now. So May 11th, would that work? So we'll continue this until May 11th?
Yep.
A motion?
Motion to
Thank you.
request the applicant to continue this to May 11th.
Second.
We have a motion by Maury, second by Betsy, to continue to May 11th. Any other comments, questions? from the Commission, comments, questions from the public. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Vote order conditions.
Can we do these next week, Mr. Chairman? You just closed them all last week, so we can vote
Yeah.
them next week.
Okay, I just need a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Betsy, a second by Mary or Courtney, doesn't matter. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Say aye.